Hi, I'm Ben Sheeran. In this short video, I'm going to run you through a typical level 3 class at our school here at Cambridge English. So the level 3 textbooks are the most difficult. They're also the most interesting to teach and to learn, I think. And most of the materials are actually contained in the book. So there's far fewer moving pieces for the level 3 course. It generally looks something like this. So we'll have a slightly shorter questions practice at the beginning. We'll have vocab quiz. We'll do timed reading activities. And then finally, there's this 3-step activity at the end of the class. Let's take a look at each of these in a bit more detail. So the questions for level 3. Unlike the other levels where we're practicing the same questions over and over again for a whole month, level 3, there are different questions each week. And typically it's something like this. There's 8 set questions, and then there's space for the students to write their own original questions. The questions generally have a slight connection to the texts for that month, but not necessarily. And the way we do this normally in class is we would do read and repeat of the questions. So the teacher would read the questions in English, the students would repeat, and they'd have a chance to ask if they weren't sure of the meaning as well. After that, we'll give the students a few minutes to write down their answers, again in English or in Japanese if they need to, and also to write some original questions. Once they've finished, we would work in pairs as usual. So have the students stand up, work together, ask each other their questions, and then once everyone's more or less finished, change the pairs and repeat, etc. You can also do some of the supplementary activities from the other levels, like have the students ask the teacher, etc., etc. But we're only seeing these questions once, so it keeps it a bit more fresh and interesting for the students. The vocab test is largely the same. There's 20 items. Hopefully the students have previewed them using Quizlet before the class. Again, for this level, we wanted to up the difficulty a little bit, make it a bit more interesting. So half of the items on the vocab test are Japanese to English, as opposed to the previous 2 levels, which were all English to Japanese, which is a bit easier, of course. So this is slightly more challenging just in terms of the format. And then the timed reading texts and exercises. So again, we've changed this quite a bit. These pages are actually facing in the textbook. So the students have got the questions in front of them when they're reading the text, and after they've read the text, they can just use the text to write the answers. So it's different from the other levels where the text was on one side of the page and the questions were on the back, and students would try to actually remember the answers. For this level, it's a bit harder, so we don't do that. We actually have them reference the text as they're writing the answers. Now, there's also a few other activities involved here. So you'll see that the questions are written in Japanese. So the first thing we do is we have our students try to translate the questions into English. That's the first step. We'll give them about 2 minutes to do this. I also find it useful to assign a question to each student where they start and then continue. So one student will start with question 1 and then go on to question 2 and 3. The second student will start with question 2 and go on to 3 and 4 and so on. That makes it a little bit smoother because it's quite hard to do all 5 questions in just 2 minutes. After they finish, we'll check the answers with the slides. So we'll put up the English on the board and they can copy it down if they need to. And then we'll do timed reading. So they'll use a stopwatch or their phone or something, or the classroom clock, and time themselves as they read the text. When they finish, they'll write their time in the box, and then they will try to answer the questions. And again, the questions this time, the first 2 levels are multiple choice, but here they're trying to find the specific answer in the text and write it in English on the other page. This is a huge progression in terms of difficulty, but after a month or 2, the students can handle it, and it really helps them with their kind of grasp of the language and focus on specific parts of the language. Of course, if you have lots of time, you can also then go back and read the text aloud. Either the teacher can read the text aloud or the students can. If you want to make it easier, rather than just have the students do timed reading of the text silently, the teacher can read the text to the students, and this makes it a little bit easier as well. So there's lots of variations you can do with these texts, and there's 2 texts for each unit, and they're both handled in the same way. And then the final thing for the level 3 course is this 3-step activity. And this is basically each week there's a different question. And generally they're kind of structured like this in terms of 2 choices. And the students are trying to give their opinion or their preference and also give a reason and so on. So for this week, which do you like better, watching TV or playing video games? The first thing is we do some brainstorming. So the students would have a couple of minutes just to write down their ideas and take notes. The second part of the activity is a short speech. So we'll give the students 1 minute to give a short speech to their partner about this topic. So answer the topic, answer the question, and give their ideas. And their partner is counting how many words they say. So they're trying to speak more within the 1 minute. Obviously 1 minute is very arbitrary. You could do 90 seconds, you could do 2 minutes, you could do 45 seconds. Depends on how your students are. And then they'd write their words in the box. And then they'd change. So the person that was speaking would now count, and the person that was counting would now speak. And then finally after that we'll go on to writing. So we'll give them around 5 minutes to write their answer to the question and so on. And we provide a model answer that we'd read through before they write, just to give them a bit of inspiration. That's both on the slides and also on the back of the writing page. So if they turn over, they can see the model answer there. And that's basically it for the level 3 class. So it's quite difficult. The class feels quite different from the other levels, and that was deliberate. We didn't want to have level 3 be again the same as level 2 and level 1. We wanted it to feel different and for the students to kind of feel a bit more advanced and more mature, and I think it succeeds in doing that. If you want any more information, please go to the website below, or of course you can continue watching these videos.